So I thought this would be a really fun video to do for YouTube. Spider-Man, Peter Parker being my favorite, like not even superhero, but fictional character of all time. I felt this would be such a fun video to do with the new movie coming out. Brand New Day is amazing, pun intended. I thought this would be a fun video to do for YouTube, so like a reading guide. I've never done this before. So yeah, let's get into it. So if you're wanting to start right from the beginning, you will read the Stan Lee and Steve Ditko stuff. I will say, beware, this is 60s writing. It's very wordy, and the narration tells you literally what's like happening in the art. Half the time it's like, bro, I can see from the art what just happened. Like it'll be like, Spider-Man dodged a tentacle from Doc Ock with a swift ability. It's like, I can see it, bro. And I wouldn't say it's very binge-worthy. It's very episodic, like just the way it's written. And it's not like one continuous story like some modern comics are. And so I feel like this isn't really binge-worthy. I feel like you should read it like if you're like watching a cartoon. Like it's episodic. And it kind of follows a formula of, like, you see Peter Parker's personal life. He fights a villain. Eventually, he defeats the villain. Rinse, repeat. But, in saying that, and they're also writing for children. And, like, Stan Lee's kind of motto is any comic could be somebody's first comic. So I feel like that's why it's kind of episodic, too, in nature. But, yeah. But overall, I would still say this is really, really good stuff. It's still great, despite some flaws I have with it. And I feel like it's because I feel like if you binge it, it can be kind of repetitive. But overall, it's still great. Like, these stories have a lot of heart to them and just charm in general. And, yeah. And one thing that's also so cool about reading Peter from, like, the beginning is Peter Parker's characterization is pretty much the same since the 60s to now. Like, yes, he's had changes, he's evolved, but like his characterization is pretty much like the same, and a lot of characters don't have that. And like, yeah, he's written differently by different writers. Like some people they tweak his personality more. Sometimes he's more of a jerk, sometimes he's more kind, sometimes he's, you know, like etc, etc. Any writer that writes him will write the character, you know, slightly different. But what's cool is that his characterization is still, like, you know, like a lot of his core, like the spirit of the character has been the same since then. And you can't say that about a lot of comic characters. You can't say that about Superman. You can't say that about Batman. Like, you go and read their stuff, they're completely different to what their modern takes are. But yeah, overall, still really fun. And it introduces some of, like, the most iconic villains, like, right off the bat. Like, you get Vulture, Sandman, Electro, Kraven's in this, Doc Ock. I believe, like, the Sinister Six is one of the annuals, too. And even, I think you might even get Green Goblin in this. I haven't read the full thing. I've been reading it kind of on Marvel Unlimited, like, here and there, and I've read some of it before, but then, like, my bookmark came undone, so I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna read it on Marvel Unlimited. But yeah, oh, and also another really cool thing, you can get this in different, like, formats, but, like, you get the letters pages from the 60s, so you get to see what the fans thought. Like, I think that's so cool. And yeah, and Steve Ditko's art is still really, really good. Overall, I'd still say, at least read it once. Like, I feel like every Spider-Man fan should at least read this run once. And then, you know, if you like it, you'd continue, like, Volume 2, it'll be Stan Lee and John Romita Sr.'s, Volume 3, Volume 4, Volume 5. But I have those wrapped, so I can't really show them off. I have them wrapped because it's like, I don't have anything wrapped by Stan Lee, and all those, I don't know if I'll sell them, but like all those comic book writers are dead. Jerry Conway passed away this year, R.I.P. John Romita Sr., Steve Ditko, like all those people that contributed to like early Spider-Man are passed away. It's kind of sad. But yeah, I don't want to make this video like a Debbie Downer, but yeah, if you want to start from the beginning, the 60s, you would pick up like this or read an Epic collection, or there's tons of other ways they've printed this. And then you would, if you want to do something modern, but like you can still, but it's like, you know, his origin and all that stuff, do Ultimate Spider-Man by Bendis. This is amazing too. I read this like I finished it last year, but I got it when this omnibus came out and they reprinted it, and read it like every like couple months whenever the omnibus would come out, or I think it took a couple of years for it to collect all of it. I would read this and binge this. Like, I got so excited when I would order it and it would come. But yeah, this is amazing. Bendis is, to be honest, I think Brian Michael Bendis is my favorite comic writer. When he's on point, he's amazing. Like, he has some like misses, I would say, like Civil War 2. I'm not a huge fan of that, but when Bendis is on point, I think he's one of the best writers ever, and this is him at his A game. And you know, it takes Spider-Man, puts him in kind of a modern setting. Like, it does like a lot of the 60s stuff, but revamps it. I think makes it even better. Yeah. And like the reinvention of some of the characters, like Green Goblin, so creepy. Like, I love this run. It was modern for the time, 2000. It's not modern now, but it still holds up so well. You got Bendis, and Mark Bagley's art is amazing, and it streamlines some things. Like, it makes his history more like streamlined. Like, he meets Harry in high school and MJ in high school, and if I remember correctly, he meets them in college in the original run. It streamlines a bunch of things. The villains are awesome. Peter's super, super funny. And I feel like if you like Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, he acts most like Ultimate Spider-Man. Like, he's kind of pissed off at the world, and he can kind of lash out at people sometime, but he still is good in his core. Like, at his heart, he's still a good person. And he utterly humiliates villains when he talks like shit to them. It's amazing. But yeah, I love this run. One of my favorites. And then I feel like if you want to read like 80s Spider-Man, so I've heard Jerry Conway's run is great, but I have not read it. I will probably read it and do a review on YouTube of the omnibus. I think that'd be fun. I've never done that before. A straight up like comic review. I think that'd be so much fun. But yeah, and this introduces like Venom, David Michelinie. Super underrated writer. Like, when people talk about great writers, I never hear him mentioned, and I don't know why. He is amazing. Like, he introduced Venom. He did a lot with like the love life of Peter and MJ, because they're married at this point. A lot of personal stuff, but then like he did the Venom stuff, which is amazing. And Todd McFarlane's art alone, I think, is worth it. Let's see if I can find some of his art. Let's see if I can get like a Venom or a Splat. There we go, like that. Like, oh my gosh, his web slinging he gave him. Like, Todd McFarlane changed the game when it came to Spider-Man. Everybody like tried to draw him like John Romita Sr. And Todd McFarlane comes and he gives him like you know, it was kind of just like his webbing before was kind of just like a regular web, but Todd McFarlane gives him like spaghetti webbing, and he gives MJ like super curly hair, and he does like so much. Todd McFarlane and David Michelinie do so much with the character, and just this run is just so good. I loved this omnibus. I read it like a year ago and like just absolutely like devoured it. I read it in like a week, I think, or two. And yeah, I love this run. And then he does a run, David Michelinie does a run with Eric Larson. I have not read that yet. I have it. I started it. I just never finished it. But overall, I do really, really like that David Michelinie and Todd McFarlane run. I hope I like the Eric Larson run, too. I'll do a review of that, too. Might as well. And then, so if you want to get into, like, modern Spider-Man, this is modern, too. It's still early 2000s. But this is really, really fun, the J. Michael Straczynski run. I think it's one of the best runs. It has 2 stories that suck. Sins Past and One More Day, which is in the second omnibus. But other than that, like, this run is so good. It kind of reinvents Peter in a way. They do, like, the whole spider totem and, you know, was it your destiny to be Spider-Man and that type of stuff. And he has, like, Moreland hunting him, who's, like, a vampire who, like, kills spiders. It's, like, from another dimension, if I remember correctly. I read this a couple, like, 2-3 years ago. But overall, like, if you even want to ignore, like, the spider totem stuff and Ezekiel and all that, like, at its core, I still think he gets Spider-Man so right. Like, and he does a lot of cool things. Like, he makes Peter a science teacher. And also, this might be a hot take, 'cause I know some people, I love John Romita Jr.'s art. Some people hate on it. Like, he has kind of a blocky style. But here, I don't know, for Spidey, it works. And I don't know, I've just always really liked his art. Oh, and they also do, like, this amazing, like, 9/11 issue. The only really weird part about that is, like, Doctor Doom, like, crying through his mask. I'm like, I don't think Doctor Doom would care that much. But it was very tasteful, very respectful. And yeah, and he does a lot of cool things. I'm not gonna spoil all of them, but like Aunt May finds out he's Spider-Man and they have this like amazing conversation. And it's just a really good run, despite those two like stories since Past and One More Day I don't like. Other than that, this is like a really great like run. And yeah, I think it's one of, a lot of people would argue, like his best modern run. It lasted from like I think 2001 to like 2007 or something like that. But yeah, it was great run. Does a lot of cool things with Peter. A lot of like new things that never really been done before. He kind of, you know, changes up his like mythos and origin and stuff like that. But yeah, overall good run. Ugh. And then I'd say if you want to read like modern Spider-Man, like 2010s and beyond. Okay, so not everybody likes Dan Slott's run. I haven't read the entire thing, but what I've read so far, I'm not gonna lie, I really freaking loved. He does a lot too, and changes like Spider-Man and stuff like that, as far as like, he gives him like a new job at Horizon Labs. He gives him a whole new cast of characters to, you know, interact with, like all those people at Horizon Labs. He gives him new suits. And it's like basically, it's really cool because like Peter is like basically like being Spider-Man, like, and like at the lab he's like designing gadgets for himself and stuff like that, and new suits. And he gives him a new girlfriend named Carly Cooper. I heard she's introduced in Brand New Day. I haven't read that either, the Brand New Day comic. Introduced in that. But yeah, and she's really cool. It's kind of cool because like him trying to hide his secret identity from her, and she's like a police like science investigator type person, like a forensic science. I think that's kind of funny. And then also like the new cast, like Max Modell, all of them are really cool. And Anna Marie McConey, who he introduces I think in Superior, she's amazing. Like I really loved her. And yeah, overall so far what I've read like Big Time, Spider Island. I read the relaunch after Superior came, and I like loved or liked almost pretty much all of it. Like, I don't know, I would say try it out. Dan Slott, I feel like, is one of those writers, not for everybody, but I don't know, I've liked almost most of the stuff I've read by him. His Iron Man run's really good too. But yeah, but overall, like, I'd say read this, you know, if you want to do like modern Spider-Man. I think he's the best modern writer for Spider-Man. Not everybody agrees. I'd say at least try out some of his stuff first, see if you like his writing, then read from there. But yeah, and then I think the next best would be Nick Spencer. He does a lot of stuff as far as like, I feel like he brings Spider-Man like back to basics. Ryan Ottley's art is really good. Oh, I forgot to mention Humberto Ramos's art is really good. He does like Superior, and he did a lot of Slott stuff. I love his art too. Nick Spencer, yeah, really funny. Probably like one of the funniest Peters like ever been written. And overall, like, I don't know, I really like that run. And I will say though, some of that is nostalgia, because like this was the first run I started picking up in trade when it was coming out like every couple months, and like loved it. I think the run does kind of suffer a little towards the end, but still overall I'd say is a great run. Like he did a lot of things that people wanted him to do. Like he got Peter and MJ back together. And yeah, overall good run. Like there's a lot of funny stuff too. Like he's living with Boomerang, like a villain, like as one of his roommates. I think that's hilarious. And yeah, Nick Spencer does a lot of cool things with Spider-Man. And overall, I think his run is like really good. It has some flaws. Like obviously, like I think, you know, towards the end, I think the beginning is stronger, and like the middle part, like volume 3, 4, 5, 6, like around there, I think is stronger than the ending to the run. But overall, I'd still say it's a pretty good run. I'd say check it out. And then I feel like if you want to read like just standalone Spider-Man stories, one of my favorites, and I absolutely adore this book, is, I gotta grab them all, Spider-Man Blue. I I'm not gonna lie, this is like one of the first ever comic books that like made me almost like cry at the end. It's basically like Spider-Man's on Valentine's Day, and you don't have to read anything to like enjoy this. I kind of label this as like standalone. Spider-Man, it's Valentine's Day, and he's like feeling blue, and he goes to like the bridge where Gwen Stacy died, and he has like a tape recorder, and he's telling like basically the story about like how he met her, how he fell in love with her, that type of stuff. And he's married to MJ at the time, and it's just I'm not gonna spoil the ending because it's really freaking emotional, and it's just really good. It's a really good story. I love Tim Sale's art. It's amazing. Rest in peace. He's one of my favorite artists. And Jeff Loeb, when he's on point, he's a great writer. They also did like the Long Halloween, Dark Victories, Batman stories, amazing. And then this is amazing too. I've heard they did different ones for like, I've heard Daredevil, Hulk, Captain America. I heard those are great too, but I absolutely loved them. I loved this. This almost made me cry when I read it. And then I would say pick up this trade. Amazing Spider-Man and Mary Jane. You just hit the jackpot. It's just a really fun like compilation of like MJ and Peter stories. You get like her first introduction. You get Parallel Lives written by Jerry Conway, R.I.P. It's just a bunch of different compilations of MJ and Peter stories, and it's really, really good. I really loved reading this. I read it in like 2 days. If you're a fan of them, like as a couple, I'd say pick it up. And then Spider-Man Life Story is really, really, really good. Chip Zdarsky, great writer. Mark Bagley on art again. Like, look at that. Like, one of my favorite artists, like, ever. And it's really cool because this is like an Elseworld story. You don't have to read anything. I think it does help if you've read some other stuff because you'll get like more of the references, but I still think you could read this and it's like a complete story. So basically the concept is Peter ages in real time. It's like if he was like 15 in the 60s, it goes all the way up to like the 2010s. And yeah, he ages in real time. It's just such a great story. Really emotional ending too. Like I really, really loved this. And I think Fantastic Four has one too. I will probably read that at some point. But yeah, I thought this was just so good. I hope they do it for, I don't know if they've done it for more characters at some point, but I'll check it out. And then for another Renew Your Vows. Now, this is written by Dan Slott, and it's really, really good. It's an Elseworld story. It's set during Secret Wars, so it's set on, like, Battle World. And Peter and MJ are married, and they're raising a daughter. And it was really good. I've read it twice. I really, really love it. Just, like, the dynamic of, like, the family and all that. And it's cool because, like, the kid has, like, superpowers and all that. It's just a good, like, standalone story. I heard Jerry Conway wrote, like, more, like, after this. But you can just read this and you'd get a complete story. I haven't read the Jerry Conway stuff. I will at some point. He, like, continued the series. I've heard some of the stuff is, like, out of print, though, which is kind of annoying. I'll probably just read it on Marvel Unlimited. But, yeah, that's a great, great comic. And then I'd say if you want something that's, like, if you have, like, kids and it's for kids, you should read Spider-Boy by Dan Slott. This is, and it starts off, you gotta read End of Spider-Verse first, because that's where Spider-Boy is introduced. And this is just a really fun, like, funny series. Like, one of the first villains he fights, or one of his rogues, Spider-Boy's rogues, I think he's like a bowling, his name is like Bowling Ball or something like that. It's one of the first ones he faces, and let's see if I can find it. Where's he at? Yeah, it was, I don't know, it's just a really fun, like, funny series. Has heart to it. Has some dark moments, but I feel like for the most part, as a kid, like, you'd be, there it is. As a kid, you'd be like, it'd be really fun to read. And yeah, I really like that series. Haven't finished it. I've read Volume 1 and Volume 2. Really loved them, though. And then, for my last comic, I'd say if you want something that's darker, and I feel like it's good for new readers too, Superior Spider-Man by Dan Slott. And Roberto Ramos does most of the art in here. There's other artists too. I feel like it works. So basically Doc Ock's dying, and this is like in continuity. I think that's so cool. It wasn't like an Elseworld story or anything. And he swaps bodies with Peter. And it should be like, I don't know. This sounds like such a dumb idea on paper. I feel like a lot of Dan Slott stuff, like Spider Island, that is a dumb idea on paper, but it's executed so well that you end up loving it. Yeah, and he swaps bodies with Peter, and he becomes basically, he's like, I understand why Peter's Spider-Man. I can be Spider-Man, but I can do it better. I'll be a superior Spider-Man. And it's just so good. Like, I read this about a year ago. I ended up loving it so much. And, you know, eventually, obviously, because it's comics, nothing stays permanent. Like, Peter eventually gets back his body. But this was such a fun ride. And to me, it took Doc Ock from, like, one of those characters where, like, I liked him in the Sam Raimi movies, but I read him in the comics. I didn't care too much for him. But this took him to, like, a B-list character. To me, to, like, A-list, where I'm like, it's Green Goblin and it's Doc Ock, like, for me, as Spider-Man's, like, best, like, villains. And yeah, you learn so much about Otto. Like, he fleshes out his backstory, like, his childhood, and he was bullied, and it kind of goes in, like, the whole nature versus nurture thing, like, and how him and Peter are, like, basically, like, the same characters. It's just one took a completely different path in life. Like, they're both science geniuses. They're both really smart, stuff like that. And it's really cool because, like, you get to see Doc Ock kind of have a hero's journey, too. Like, he becomes more of a hero at the end. But he's ultimately still a villain because what makes him a villain, you know, is his ego. And, like, yeah, in some ways he's better than Peter at Spider-Man. But the only reason he's better is because he has no morals. Like, he will set up, like, a surveillance, like, a surveillance state, basically. Or sets up Autobots to watch, like, everything. I think they're like little spider bots, yeah, to watch everything, and yeah, and he does a lot of, like, really messed up things. I'm not gonna, like, try to spoil it at all, but, like, he almost, like, I will say one thing, he almost, like, kills a villain at some point, and, like, yeah, it's just, overall, it's great. And then you get introduced to Anna Marie Coney, who is amazing. Yeah, wait, that's MJ. You get introduced to Anna Marie Coney and, like, some of his characters that Dan Slott uses later. But yeah, and overall, I just really loved this run. And then he, like, returned to it years later, and I thought it was still, like, great. But yeah, overall, I love this run. Yeah, and I would love to do more videos about Spider-Man. And yeah, that's kind of my recommendation reading order. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and peace. I wanted to add that I would like to do the other characters from the Spider-Verse, like Miles, Gwen, Miguel O'Hara, those types of characters, Spider-Punk, because I like all the other characters. I just haven't read enough of them to recommend reading guides for them, but once I do, I'd love to make a video on them too. So yeah, and stay tuned for that. And if y'all like the video, like, comment, subscribe, and peace.